And I think to those in civil society, we got to push more. We got to be more militant, maybe. We have to get this job done. We have to demand that the adults who've been put in positions of responsibility behave like adults.
Welcome to Built on Faith Homestead, or Leaving Egypt, depending on which video platform you like to watch your content on. My name is Justin, and in today's video, we're going to start building an animal shelter for some animals that are hopefully coming soon to our homestead, and or pre-stead, or whatever you want to call this. And we are also going to discuss some of the latest comments from one Mr. John Kerry. I want to take this time once again to explain what you're going to see in this video. This is John Kerry's speech that he recently made just a few days ago. I did edit the speech because I didn't want to have the whole however long the speech was on here. I just got the most interesting points. However, I tried very hard not to take anything out of context or paint his speech in a different light than what was intended. I will put a link to the entire speech down below in the description box. You are more than welcome, and I would encourage you to take the time to go listen to his entire speech.
A lot of people have no clue that agriculture contributes about 33% of all the emissions of the world, depending a little bit on how you count it, but it's anywhere from 26 to 33. And we can't get to net zero. We don't get this job done unless agriculture is front and center as part of the solution.
So as you can see, right, 33% of the emission trouble around the world is directly tied to agriculture, according to John Kerry, and it must be addressed. We can't get to net zero. No pollutants in the air whatsoever. We can't get to it unless we address agriculture. And I know what you might be thinking, right? Maybe this is just, we need to find innovative ways to do agriculture where there's zero emissions. Some way, somehow, the crops are going to harvest themselves and the cattle are going to take care of themselves, and no equipment is going to be involved in it, because electric equipment has emissions, and in the production of said equipment and the production of electricity. And so we know that renewable resources such as solar and wind aren't reliable enough yet in order to completely be dependent upon. However, that is not what he means, and we'll figure that out further in this video.
Believe me, it is a battle. Unfortunately, with ideological overtones that have trapped us from making some of the decisions we should be making and implementing them, but also with just a characteristic human frailty with respect to our ability to summon what is necessary to get the job done.
Many times throughout this video, he'll refer to this as a battle, as a war. Remember, this is all coming from the UN, every bit of the Sustainable Development Goals, right? And part of that is to attack agriculture and farming and raising livestock and ranching and all of that stuff, to attack every bit of it, because it all has to be zero emissions. Remember that the now king and former prince over there in England, he said not too long ago that we need to take a war-like footing. Also, don't forget, JP Morgan Chase said that we may have to start confiscating land, private land in the United States, to reach our sustainable development goals. They literally are wanting to go to war with the American people that are raising food, that are feeding us, that are raising crops, that is raising livestock. You can say all that you want to, that this is just trying to find, look, I'm all about trying to find cleaner, energy efficient ways of doing things. But that doesn't seem to be the real meaning behind this. He said we haven't summoned what we need to make this work. I'm doing a study right now on the paganism of our country from the very beginning. I wonder exactly what kind of God he's trying to summons.
There is too much business as usual in too many parts of the world, and too many people to think somehow, oh, maybe this is sort of down the road. I actually visited with some of my colleagues, former colleagues in the United States Senate in the other party, and I asked some of them, I said, you know, what is it? Why are we having such trouble getting people to embrace science and to begin to move in the direction we have to? And the answer was, candidly, that some of the colleagues see this challenge is down the road in the future, and we'll deal with it when we have to deal with it. Right now, we got to deal with Ukraine, and we got to deal with what? No. As all of you know, better than anybody, it's not in the future. It's about as now as any kind of crisis or any kind of choice we face in public life could be.
So in this part of the clip, he starts off by saying the people that don't buy into this, yeah, they're on the other side of the aisle, right? They're a different political party than we smart people. And these people that aren't buying into all of this, they're just stupid, and they don't understand that the battle is right now. It's not something in the future. The battle for our environment is now. See, the funny thing is, I would actually agree. I just kind of feel like maybe you're not on the side you think you're on, or you're at least saying that you're on. Just my opinion. You come up with your own.
And I refuse to call it climate change anymore. It's not change. It's a crisis. We're beyond the concept of just change, and we can manage the change. And without action, millions of lives and livelihoods are going to be at risk.
Remember, it is no longer called climate change, but a climate crisis. You understand how he continues to amp up the rhetoric, because this is a war that is being entered into.
And as is so often the case with respect to the climate crisis, we have to fight on multiple fronts simultaneously. This is the biggest organizational effort that I think we have faced, certainly since World War II, but perhaps ever.
Once again, this is being compared back to a war, right? The greatest organizational effort ever since World War II.
So we have to reduce emissions from the food system to keep the 1.5 degrees alive. Why do we have to keep 1.5 degrees alive? Because scientists, as a basis of physics and mathematics, not ideology and politics or party labels or anything else, as a matter of physics and mathematics and some biology and chemistry, have told us these are the consequences. And we already see it happening. And almost everything they've predicted for 30 plus years now is coming true, but the problem is it's coming true faster and bigger than was in fact predicted. So this is where innovation becomes critical, all across the front, not just in managing livestock and the other problems of durability and resilience of crops against heat.
Remember, it's not about political party or ideology, even though it was about political party just a few minutes ago in his speech. That doesn't matter. Forget about that. Don't worry about it. It's about science. And then he lists off some areas of science, you know, because the last few years has taught us anything. The science cannot be questioned. And the science that is being produced on your television screens and on social media platforms is always right. I have to laugh. I'm trying, like, I know it's serious, but I can't help but laugh every once in a while.
So we need innovation in order to make nutrient-rich crops that are resilient to never before seen heat and drought.
Innovation. We need crops that will withstand the coming weather. Sounds to me like more genetically modified crops on the horizon. Don't worry about how it is for your health.
It's not just hard science, folks. We've heard this. You heard from Dr. Kremer a little while ago. We need economic, social, and policy innovation in order to scale adaptation of these technical solutions and get them into the hands of folks in the fields of smallholder farmers on a worldwide basis.
If you're watching this video and you're thinking, well, this is just going to apply to great big giant farms or big factory farms or something like that, don't worry, John Kerry's got you covered. It will apply to even small farms, smallholder farms. Those are small family farms. That's you, local guy that's got 10, 15, 20 acres and you're just trying to raise a few head of cattle on. You will have to abide by the UN regulations coming, or you will be gone to war against. That's what it seems like he's saying.
So we need your help in this fight beyond what you're doing today. I invite you to join a list of 12 countries, including Spain, Chile, Australia, and yesterday Brazil signed up to a joint declaration to address the challenge of methane emissions from food production.
They're building allies for this war, getting other countries to sign up, much like NATO, right? To fight methane, which we all know means cattle. That's what they're fighting. They want to get rid of cattle. Don't believe me? Please continue watching.
Announced mobilizing 140 million in collective investment towards a goal of 200 million to provide innovative solutions to deal with the challenge of livestock. But we're making progress there. It's rather remarkable what is happening with diet and other inputs.
We have to deal with this issue of livestock. That's what I meant by he wants rid of the cattle. He wants rid of all farms that raise animals, that raise livestock for you and I to eat. You know, good proteins. We got to get rid of those. That's what he's saying. We have to combat this issue of livestock, and we've already done a lot for this, he says, by adjusting people's diet. Don't tell me they are not trying to use these plant-based meats and these fake meats that are grown in labs, right? Don't tell me they're not trying to use that to replace the livestock in this country and in this world. That is absolutely what they are trying to do, and they are trying to make you and I not eat good, wholesome protein.
And I think to those in civil society, we got to push more. We got to be more militant, maybe. We have to get this job done. We have to demand that the adults who've been put in positions of responsibility behave like adults. And that is proving to be a heavy demand, actually. But we have to win that battle.
Now you have these civic leaders he calls for, these government officials, if you will, right? How they need to be more militant in what they are trying to get the people to do when it comes to climate change issues as it applies to agriculture, right? And he says, we got to make the adults act like adults. So any of you adults that don't think solar-powered tractors are the answer for the future, then we must have military action against you. Anybody that doesn't agree with the sustainable development goals that the UN is going to be, that the UN is putting forth, right? Anybody that doesn't agree with those things, it doesn't agree with the things that are being put forth in society today, especially as it applies to agriculture. If you don't agree with those things, then we must take a militant-like approach against you. That's what he is saying. This is not games to this guy. It's a war. That's what he's saying. It's a war, and we must be militant about it.
And at the Major Economies Forum last month, President Biden made an announcement mobilizing nearly $2 billion to support forest protection in Brazil, including a $500 million contribution to the Amazon Fund. And we are in this fight, my friends, to win this fight.
So he's told you that agriculture is 33% of the problem when it comes to climate crisis issues. Remember, it's not climate change no more. We have to up the rhetoric to crisis so that you understand why this war needs to occur, according to John Kerry. He also let you know how much money they are raising for the war effort. He also let you know the allied countries that are working together to fight this war-like effort against the climate crisis issues as they apply to agriculture, whether it be factory farms or whether it be your small farm, your small 5, 10, 15, 20 acre little farms where you're trying to raise just a few livestock for you and your family and all of those things. If you are out of line with the sustainable development goals that the UN will be pushing, which I'm sure is where they are getting all of this from, because they keep talking about Agenda 2030 and how they want to hit these marks by 2030 so that they can only have a 1.5 degree increase by 2050. That's all a part of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Please go look at them yourself. They're called SDGs, right? If you are not following those standards, then we must take a militant approach. You understand how his rhetoric continued to grow stronger and stronger and stronger and ended in a crescendo of how governments need to be militant against the people that are not following these plans. I don't want to forget to show you the livestock shelter that we are building for what may potentially be our outlaw livestock that we that we get according to the UN. I bought the wrong size tarp, so I'm gonna have to change that up a little bit, but you'll kind of get the idea anyhow. So here's kind of what we're looking at, right? Cattle panels, 2x4s, and a tarp. We'll show you kind of what it looks like here, right? Just a rectangle with the cattle panel sandwiched in between some 2x4s. Got it all screwed together. Got some angle braces down along the bottom, and put a tarp over the top for protection of the weather. I also want to have another tarp back here. I may try to have like a summertime version where they can get some breeze, and then more of a wintertime version, something locked up a little tighter to keep the cold off of them critters that we are going to get. But other than getting the wrong size tarp, which I can actually use that for something else that I'm going to have to build, I think it'll work fine for that. Probably be oversized slightly, but that's okay for that. Sometimes stupid is either painful or expensive, or both. Hopefully in just a couple more days, we'll bring some new livestock to the Prieststead homestead here. We'll keep you guys kind of up in there. If you guess it between now and then, that's fine. But we'll kind of keep you guys up in the air until we get it. I guess we'll catch you on the next video.